Well, now let's get to the part where I was asked to leave the budget committee. I showed up at the first meeting. I had worked tirelessly for hours and hours developing a plan for approaching the budget. This is a plan that I came up with to identify areas that I've used in the past to show where money could be saved, and specifically to show where money's just wasted. Well, I had a document with me that I had typed up, and there were 10 different areas that should be addressed. If I would have taken this document to a budget meeting at a corporation, I'd probably be looking at a promotion right now. But instead, I got laughed at. Well, Susan Holman never passes up an opportunity to mock me, so she had a good snicker over the fact that I had about a 5 or 6 page document prepared for the first budget meeting. But you see, I was taking this thing seriously. And the funny thing is only one of us there was not getting paid. I've never made a dime off the city of Ozark, and I really hope that I never do. Now, I won't get into all 10 points that were dismissed and ignored and they've moved right on. They're not going to look at that. They're not going to address any of the stealing that has occurred. They're not going to address any of the waste. They're going to do a copy-paste budget. That means they take last year's budget that they know and they'll just move it over to another table, and here we go. 2020 will look just like 2018 and 19, and it'll go on and on and on unless somebody comes in here and puts an end to it. I had some numbers that I had been given, and they were 3 very different numbers. And it was of my opinion that you could not proceed with a budget until you found out which one of these numbers was accurate. Well, where do you go from there? Well, I'll tell you where we go from there when we're talking about swimming pools. I was told by City Clerk Sonia Eveld that adding an extra lane in the swimming pool is the reason the community center went over budget. They always insist that it wasn't over budget because they approved it. Well, if you start out knowing how much something costs and you get to the end and you want to add something else to it, it really doesn't matter whether it's approved or not. That's still considered over budget. So Sonia Eveld, the clerk, told me through a sworn document that the addition of a pool lane costs the city of Ozark $296,158. I contacted Nabholz Construction Company and requested the same information, and I received a notarized work change order, or change of work order. I don't remember how it's worded. Anyway, it's notarized, and it says that the additional lanes cost $81,352. But wait, I get to the budget meeting, and I get handed this stack of documents, and I start flipping through, and lo and behold, there's a line down there that says extra lane for the pool cost was $312,372.57. So, which is it? It's kind of important to know which dollar amount is correct, but the budget committee doesn't seem to think so. In fact, I said, how in the world can we proceed with establishing 2020's budget if we don't even know how much money we actually spent on an extra pool lane? And you know what they told me? You're living in the past, Steve. We're trying to move forward. Well, that's not how you run a business. That's not even how you run your own household. When you're talking about something that there's a difference of $230,000, it's kind of important to know which number's correct. And if the pool lane only cost us $81,000, what happened to the other money? I was asked to leave. This is where we are. This is what's being approved and condoned by your city council, and your mayor chooses to go along with it. Let's review. We have 4 aldermen who ran unopposed. That's not exactly representative government when you have people running unopposed. And then they appointed 2 more people. 2 people that I will say again, never seen them at a single city council event. Not one time. But out of the blue, they show up and receive appointments. Then Roxy Hall appoints a political contributor to be in charge of the city's A&P money. And then Roxy Hall appoints a political contributor to be on the budget committee. And then she appoints another political contributor to be on the budget committee. These are just the things that I stumbled onto. These are things that are going on because I looked. What else is getting paid back for political contributions, both documented and undocumented? Turns out you can't buy integrity or intelligence at Walmart. So I suspect the reason I have had everybody and their dog try to keep me out of city government is because I can't be bought. I guess it's important to also note here another little known fact to the citizens of Ozark, but one-term Mayor Carol Sneath receives a lifetime pension of $18,000 a year off the backs of Ozark's very poor taxpayers. Since I recorded what you just watched, some other things have come up that merit talking about. The first budget meeting that I went to, before it started, there were several people there. And let me remind you that 3 of the 6 people on the budget committee are political appointees from Mayor Hall, people who gave her money to pay for her campaign. Another member of the budget committee is Susan Holman. So there's like crosstalk going on. Everybody was there. It seems like there was a couple of extra people at the meeting, and everybody's kind of just chatting amongst themselves. And Kevin Eveld walks into the room. Well, Kevin Eveld has not been to any city council meeting in 6 or 8 months. The last time I saw him at a meeting was the meeting that he resigned from his position as fire chief back in June of 2018. So he walks in and Susan Holman's face flushed and her mouth pursed and she stopped talking. There was a noticeable physical change in her demeanor. Well, that could be contributed to just the fact that well, all the information that you've been given today. You can see how him being in that room could make someone that's been on the city council as long as Susan Holman uncomfortable. But it just seemed rather odd to me. So I've told that to several other people. It just seemed odd that she had this physical change in her appearance when he walked into the room. Well, he's a citizen of Ozark. He has the right to come to any council meeting. Anybody in town, anybody out of town can come to these meetings. There's no restrictions on who can attend, but it just seems strange that he walks into this room after stepping away from city business for half a year or better. Anyway, I don't even remember who it is that told me now, but they said, "Steve, don't you know? You know the insurance company where Susan works?" "Yeah, I know, because I've been in there. I've gone to her office to talk to her." "Well, Kevin Eveld's brother owns that." Well, I asked someone in authority if they could confirm that, and they said that they thought that was true. I'm going ahead and putting this out there because I still can't confirm whether Kevin Eveld's brother owns the insurance company where a sitting councilman is working. But something changed at that meeting, and I find it kind of disturbing. But then every new leaf I turn over, I find something else disturbing. In an upcoming video, I'm going to discuss how the investigation has been corrupted and how it's unlikely that anything will come from it. It's very upsetting to me that this has happened. You see, I was only going to go to one council meeting. I never wanted to get involved in any of this. None of it. I never wanted to be doing this. When I moved to Ozark, I truly thought I would just kind of live in isolation and continue my tomato breeding project and do some gardening and mind my own business and try to get healthy again. That's why I'm here. But once I got in neck deep, I realized I had to see it through to the end. Now, once I made the decision to see it through to the end, I had no idea that I would just keep uncovering more and more and more. It's been like peeling an onion. And so with that much effort and that much work put into seeing this to the end, it's terribly disappointing to know that a handful of people have done everything they can to make this investigation not come out with any results. I'll go into detail about how there's been a concerted effort by multiple people to cover up wrongdoing. And there's several people that are involved in wrongdoing. And that's the thing about peeling this onion here in Ozark, is so many people have their finger in the pie of all that money that as long as you're stepping on the toes of somebody, you have both enemies and allies. But the minute you bring the truth and seek justice against someone else that is involved in wrongdoing, those roles flip, and now your enemies are allies and your allies are enemies. And there's no way to ever see any kind of progression to justice. You know, it's not how I was raised. My father and mother, people of integrity, people that always told us to speak the truth no matter how painful it was. And I'm just kind of surprised that here in small town America, it's not Mayberry, it's not apple pies and sunshine. It's people hurting other people and people taking advantage of less fortunate and people making a living out of taking money from taxpayers. It's wrong. It goes against American values, and it goes against what I believe to be the only way to be honorable. Every time it's hurting me. This is hurting me to talk about. I'm so disappointed in Ozark, Arkansas, because what I thought it was is just an illusion. It's not the hometown that I hope to come back to. It's something completely different. I don't even know what to call it. I don't know what to label it. But you know this to be true. I don't have to tell you all of the things that have happened in this town over a decade or 20 years or 30 years or 40 years. You know all the players. You know all the people that are corrupt. Only see, that's the thing. You don't call it corruption. They do everywhere else. When people take tax dollars and they personally benefit from those tax dollars, whether it's borrowing equipment that's owned by a government entity to use on your farm, or stealing gasoline, or buying yourself fancy boots, or fancy blue jeans, or taking trips, or any of a number of other things that I could go through a list of literally hundreds of things like this. And it's all over the county. And it's been going on for decades, and you people think that it's all right. And I guess the people that don't think that it's all right, they just stay shut up and don't do a thing about it. But it's not all right. And it's not acceptable anywhere else. So I'm going to see this thing through. I don't want to be doing this anymore. But I have an obligation to tell you everything else that I know. And it's all wrapped up. It's all done. And I'm turning out these videos at the pace I can turn them out. And then I'll go back to growing my tomatoes and trying to get well and packing boxes so I can get out of here. Thanks for watching.